Today we're going to talk about the ultimate frozen fish food, 2 years in the making, over 180 batches, and it's ready to be launched. I wish I could send this frozen food around the country, and hopefully one day I will, but as of right now we need to make this at home. Alright, so what you'll need to provide is 7 ounces of white shrimp, 4 ounces of white cod, and 3 ounces of wild salmon or regular salmon. Farm raised is fine, but if you can find wild, it's just a better product. You will need a sharp knife, you'll need a cutting board, you'll need a small spatula, but any spatula will do, and a spoon. It doesn't have to be a big spoon like this, any spoon will do. You will need a scale to measure your frozen ingredients. You will need 2 ounces of clean water, distilled, RO, bottles, fine, try not to use tap water, and this is just in case, just like the binders, just in case, okay? And you will need some paper towels, just for cleanup, and then a blender. Now this blender right here, I paid $12 for 2 years ago. It's still working. You can buy them at pawn shops for pretty cheap. I like 1,000 watts. The thing that's nice about this recipe is it doesn't put a lot of stress on the motor, and you'll see that. You can use your home blender, just make sure you clean it real well when you're done. I started with our home blender, but then I went and bought this because I knew I was going to keep going on this project. So $12, I mean, I think you can find them like $30, $35. I've seen them on sale, 1,000 watts. So blender. Okay, so we have thawed our frozen ingredients, our 7 ounces of shrimp, 4 ounces of cod, and 3 ounces of salmon in cold water. Very important, keep it cold. And it only took 2 or 3 minutes to thaw enough to cut into small chunks. Now these small chunks are crucial because you want to add these to the blender. Now that's why I use this big spoon. So we just take these and add these to the blender. So we're trying to blend this into a rough chop and now a fine chop, okay? First, we just kind of, and that's what this is great for, it just kind of gets everything blended down. Now, your instinct is going to be add water. Do not do that because the ice crystals will start to melt with the heat of the blender. And that's going to usually add enough moisture, right? So what we don't want to do now is over saturate with water, okay? So we want to keep it as dry as possible. You see that movement? That's the movement. We want that movement. Okay, so that's great. We want to see that movement. What we're trying to create is a vortex, but also what we want is just movement. As long as it's moving, do not add water. Water is for if it's bound up and we can't get movement anymore, right? And what's happening now is the actual moisture from the water crystals from being frozen are starting to melt. So this is a great time to add the fulvic acid. Here's the thing, I have actually forgotten it a few times and it's no big deal to add it as long as it's not totally rock solid frozen and then kind of blended in the bag, and I'll show you that. But basically what we do is we've got 1.5 mil. It's the perfect amount of fulvic acid, and basically what this is, there's all kinds of benefits to it and they're on the website, you can read about it. And it actually comes in your packet too. But the main reason is it's a carrier for nutrients and vitamins to the cells. Also what it does is it binds heavy metals and gets those out of the system. So basically you just add this right to the blender, right? And we want to add it to the fish because it'll blend and it'll incorporate in all this fish. Now it's not much moisture, so you're not going to worry about oversaturating with moisture. So let's do it again. It's settled a little bit. Let's pulse it again. Okay, we're on 1 now, so it's the lowest setting. I'm just going to let it blend. And as long as I'm seeing that movement, I'm just going to let it go, and I'm not going to use water. The binder would be for if we get something at the end that's a little watery. So hopefully we don't use these two, but they're there just in case. So you see that mixture, really, really good. Basically we're trying to get it to peak. As we grab it, it kind of has peaks that stay. Okay. So I haven't really dropped it down except for when I first got the chunkiness, right? So now we're more in this creamy mode. So now I'm just going to kind of take it and really push it all down in there so everything gets nice and blended, because this is the base. Everything kind of goes off of this, all right? It's an amazing food. It is incredible. And after about 180 batches, I finally started to figure it out. I never threw away a batch though, because it's such insane ingredients. I would feed it to my dogs, I'd feed it to my chickens, I'd feed it to my bearded dragon. All my animals would eat it, and even in the frozen state. Now my bearded dragon, obviously I spread it on like lettuce leaves and stuff, so that way I could get that protein in him. So, all right. So we're almost set, and it's only been a few minutes. I would say total, you know, obviously this video I'm not going to have the entire blending process, but you were probably looking at 3 to 5 minutes max of blending. Again, power, lowest setting. Okay, so I'm not seeing any movement anymore. I'm going to put a little bit, 2 ounces of water, right? You should never use more than 2 ounces. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in just to loosen it. So it's about 1/4 of an ounce, 1/2 of an ounce maybe. Yeah, probably 1/2 an ounce. Okay, let's do one more push. Try to get everything incorporated. And it's great. So right now it's pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to give it, you know, you're paying good money. Let's make sure it's a nice consistency. So we're going to just kind of keep pushing it away from the sides. It's a little thick, but not bad. It's better to have it more on the thick side than on the watery side. What you don't want to see is it shooting up to the top and kind of shooting everywhere, because that's too watery, right? So we're going to put this back on, and then maybe this time we'll do a little pulse. All right, so we've added the fulvic acid. That's in there. We want to get that in the fish. We've used 1/2 ounce of water. You should never use more than 2 ounces. That's my worst case. But really, you got to remember the moisture from the ice melting from the fish being frozen. So I did use a little bit. Most of the time I don't use any, but I have this just in case, and this is pure water, RO, distilled, even bottled water would work. All right, so our bowl is back. This is what we cut all our fish in. We pop this lid, we pull out the blades, and again, this is where this comes in. Really, it's really handy because it gets inside those blades really nice. Okay, so we just kind of clean this blade up, and we get as much as we can. I mean, obviously you're not going to get everything, but I try to get as much as I can. We'll take out, so we have our mixture, and if you look, you see it's kind of thick, and see that peaking? The peaking is what we're after, right? That's the perfect consistency. So let's really dig this stuff out. So I don't see any chunks in this batch, which is good, but like I said, if you see some chunks, don't worry about it, right? The fish will chew on that, and it will take a couple times until you get it perfect like this, because I've done 180 of them, but it's pretty much self-explanatory and pretty simple. It's not rocket science. We're just putting together a recipe, so I've done all the work, okay, as far as the recipe. So that's your blender. Then we'll put that and clean that. And a little tip on the blender, you can put a couple drops of soap in there, just a couple drops, and then fill the water at about here, turn on the blender, and that'll clean about 95% of it, and then just give it a nice detail clean. So we end up with this, right? And we end up with this, kind of this peaking. We call that, you know, that's peaking, and basically that's what we're looking for, is we want a nice smooth consistency. So, okay. You take the binder, and basically what I've done is I've already come up with this recipe 2 years, and then what I've done is I used to just put it in this Mylar bag, but what I found, 2 reasons I've stopped doing that and just keeping it in the Mylar bag, and you'll see why, is 1, it's hard to load, and 2, it's hard to get all the ingredients out. So what I've done is I've taken it for shipping, and then I put it in a plastic bag. It just makes life so easy to take this bag, open it up. Now there's no measuring, right? Our measuring's done with the fish, and then we just take this and pour it in. So you're gonna end up with this bowl, and at the bottom is the fish blended up, and then you're gonna have the dry ingredients, which has binders in it. It has wheat gluten. Wheat gluten is amazing. It's a high protein gluten, but it's a great binder, and you don't need a lot, okay? So that's what's nice about it, but it's very high in protein. So it basically does most of the binding, but the shrimp helps, and there's a couple other ingredients in there that are considered binders, but really it's the shrimp and the wheat gluten. Okay. So basically you just take it and mix it up. All right, so you see this consistency happening. I know that this is fine, and we're not going to need to add any of the extra binder. And I've never had to add the extra binder with this, where I've added vitamins, I've added garlic, and I've added brewer's yeast. Now, people think that brewer's yeast is a filler. It's not a filler. It's a probiotic. And the garlic, they think, is an attractant. It's not what it is. It's a prebiotic. So those two work in synergy to make your fish even more healthy. And basically, since I've started feeding this food after everything has been medicated, I have no more disease really in my room. Okay, so little tip on the bag. So this is my 5th time using that bag. You can see it's a little beat up, but it's strong. It's 4 mil, and it's even got writing on it. But this is my bag that I use. I have 4 or 5 of them I use. So I make usually 4 or 5 pounds at a time. And this will yield a pound of food. So here's a little tip too. You've got your bag folded so you don't get anything on the Ziploc, and then kind of take a spoonful, stick it in, and then just, by doing this, you basically are just cleaning that spoon off. See how I got some on the top there? Fine, because it's not on a Ziploc. If that bag was up all the way, I would just have to clean that off. So now look at 2 scoops. 3 scoops. Now I'm just going to take this and just kind of clean the heck out of it. Okay. 4 scoops, pound of food. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is take my little spatula, clean up all the extra, because this stuff's like gold. You want to try to get as much as you can. Now you can go into detail and put this totally clean. I don't do that because I make so much of it that it comes to a time issue. But if you're making 1 pound and you have 1 tank, this will last you 6 months to a year easily, depending on how you feed it. And you don't have to feed a lot. That's what's nice. It's amazing quality. So you will pay, you think you're paying a lot up front, but this stuff's going to last forever with 1 tank. Now if you got a fish room, obviously it's going to go quicker. It lasts about a month for me for 35 tanks. Okay? Alright, so we got that. We'll go put that in the sink. Tip: make sure you clean everything perfect if you have a wife or a husband or a significant other. Make sure you really take time to clean up, okay? Alright, paper towel. So really I haven't used a lot of paper towels, but I like to have these things close so I can kind of set my spoons on it, but also to wipe it up. Now, fold this out. And then we just take this and we zip this about 95%. We leave a little air gap at the end, okay? And we take it and we kind of chop it up, because right now we're blending it even more, right? So we're kind of just mushing it. Okay, so we got it almost to the top. We don't want to go to the top, and you see the air in there? That's fine. Basically what we're going to do now is just kind of smash it and get it as even as possible, because you want it consistent to break. There you have it. So what you want to do is take your, once it's frozen 6 to 12 hours in the freezer, you just snap off enough to fit between your fingers, a little bit bigger, and just load this thing up. Boom, boom, boom. And that way you can take this thing out. You don't have to take this whole bag out. And then you just refill this every time you know it runs low. So that's it. So pretty simple cleanup, obviously. And whole process is going to take a little longer because I'm filming it, but literally I can do this in about 15 to 20 minutes. I watch videos where sometimes it takes hours and hours to make beef heart mix. I don't feed beef heart. That's why I came up with this, because I wanted something a little bit more quality. So that's it, guys. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, just comment on a video or through my website. You can get a hold of me now, and I even have my phone number on there, and you can text me questions. All right? Take care. Bye.